Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. I'm Susan Langenhennick with the Preservation Resource Center, and I'm thrilled to be here this morning with KV Harper, who's going to show us her beautiful house. And so thank you for joining us. I hope you poured yourself another cup of coffee. I've got my tea in my case, and we'll settle in for a fun hour of gorgeous design. Before we get started, I want to go through a little bit of housekeeping. And most importantly, I want to give a huge thank you to our Shotgun House Month sponsors. Without these sponsors, none of this work would be possible. We greatly appreciate their support to the Preservation Resource Center. And our sponsors this year are Entablature Design Build and Entablature Realty, Clandestine Event Rentals, Axelrod and Associates Home Inspectors, Colmix Construction, Green Coast Enterprises, Adamak Architecture, Claire Lewis Designs, Durable Slate Company, Preservation Title, Ellie Sanders and Isabel Sanders, iMoto, who created this 3D tour that you're going to see that I'll talk a little bit about in a second, and 89.9 WWNO Radio, which is one of our media sponsors, who we greatly appreciate. I also have to give a huge shout out of thanks to the Hellas Foundation and the Klein Lehman Esperanza Fund, which supports all of PRC's programs, not just Shotgun House Month, and the Ella West Freeman Foundation, which supports our conservation education programs, which is really the heart of what the PRC does, and the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, which supports our Revival Grants program. And I'm very proud to say that all donations made this year during Shotgun House Month support our Revival Grants. And if you're not familiar with that program, I would love to tell you a little bit about it. The PRC provides free home repairs to low and moderate income homeowners in the Tremay neighborhood to help them make the repairs that will keep their homes in good shape for many years to come and protect their biggest asset, and also helps rejuvenate and support the community and the neighborhood there. We're very proud of that work. We hope to expand to other neighborhoods around the city, historic districts and neighborhoods around the city. And the support from programs like this, Shotgun House Month, directly help us do that work. So good stuff there. Also would be remiss if I didn't give a huge thank you to all of our donors and supporters and members, because our members are the heart and soul of our organization. You keep us afloat, and you also engage with us and share with us in the work that we do. Greatly appreciate your support. Today, we ask that anyone who's watching might consider, if it's possible, doing a $25 donation to support us in this work during Shotgun House Month. Like I said, all that money will donate to our Revival Grants, directly helping homeowners in need in the city, and making this a wonderful, fair place, safe place to live. Anyone donating at the $25 level will receive a complimentary copy of our digital design guide, which is the first time we've done that this year with our Shotgun House Month, where we've put together 3D tours and detailed information about every one of the houses that have been featured this year on the tour, with all the design information, the paint colors, the furnishings, the fixtures, the artwork. So if you're loving what you're seeing and you want to know more, that digital design guide you will just love. And you'll see today we're doing this tour via a 3D presentation created by iMoto that allows us to walk through and click through all the rooms. And it's a really wonderful way to really engage with these houses and see all the details. So that's part of the digital design guide. Also this month, while we're doing Shotgun House Month, we are also doing our Maintain Right series, which is a new series that PRC has launched this year to provide free information about home maintenance, specifically for older New Orleans structures. We all know that we have specific problems in this city that maybe other places in the country don't face, like termites and hurricanes. And so all of this information is specifically geared to our climate, our old house issues, and how to keep them in great shape My colleague Anna Pernis is our Director of Conservation and Education. She leads that program and does a terrific job, and brings on experts in all different fields to provide this information. So tune in. We have a class on plaster next week on Tuesday. All of those classes are free. You can find the whole listing and event schedule on our website, prcno.org. And you can look at past classes if you missed them, and past versions of our Shotgun House Tour, virtual Shotgun House Tour, on our YouTube channel. So all that housekeeping aside, I will tell you that the ghost in our machine is my wonderful colleague, Danielle Watson, who is the tech master keeping all of us afloat. She will be driving our Zoom and our 3D tour today as KV and I have the luxury of just chatting. And she's posting a lot of these notes in our chat and Q&A function, so you can see. You can't see us. We can see, I'm sorry, I should say, you can see us, but we can't see you, and your mics are off and your videos are off. And that allows us to go through the whole tour, but we greatly encourage your participation by adding your questions to the chat and Q&A functions at the bottom of your screen. So if you see things, want to know more information about things, please add them there. And KV and I will answer them as we get toward the end or as they come up in conversation. So please feel free to chime in. And I think that is the end of my housekeeping. So let's get started. I want to introduce KV, who is incredibly talented, as you'll see. KV Harper is the founder and principal of KEX Design Build, an architecture, planning, and interiors firm. She works all over the world. She has clients in New York, Amsterdam, London, and of course, right here in New Orleans. And this is her personal home in New Orleans. She has homes in other locations as well. And she's graciously invited us to look inside. So KV, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. And thanks for everyone joining in on this lovely morning.
I know, it is a lovely morning today. And we promise we will keep this right at an hour so everybody can go and enjoy this day, although it's probably going to be very hot, but go enjoy your day. But thank you for tuning in and joining us. So Danielle, yep, there she goes. She's already ahead. We wanted to start at the beginning, start on the outside. And so KV, you were born in Miami and raised in Seattle. And tell us how you came to buy a house in New Orleans.
Yeah, so, like most people, New Orleans always has a special place. When I was at school at Howard, one of my really good friends was born and raised in New Orleans. And one thing you'll find out when someone is born and raised here, within 5 minutes of meeting them, they will let you know that. And so I had always, yes, during those 4 years in school, he always talked about New Orleans. So it always had this sort of mystical thing for me. And then I also had a college roommate who was also from New Orleans. And during that time, I did a couple weekend trips here during college and, spring break, but, not really seeing true New Orleans, like, doing the things that, 21-year-olds do when they come to the city. And it wasn't until maybe, I think it was like 2015, 2016, I made a trip here with some friends, and we're actually, two of them were living here, and then the rest of us were coming to visit. And that was the first time, although I thought I was very familiar with the city and I had, people that were close to me that I loved who were born and raised here, I didn't really get to know like the heart of the city until that trip. And it was kind of like the first or second day that I was here. And, I was very much like, yeah, I'm going to live here one day and I'm going to buy a house here. And as I talk to people, like, that's not uncommon. So that was not, it seemed an unusual statement at the time, but it's actually, very common when you meet people who have moved here that also make those sort of declarations.
Yeah, absolutely. It does sort of get under your, in your blood a little.
Yeah.
Once you start to delve into the real New Orleans, as I like to say. So then let's talk about how you found this house. So then you made the decision to buy a house here. How did you find this one?
Yeah, so at the time I was just really looking, it was going to be a part-time house. And in that time my life has, dramatically changed and I'm mostly here full-time. So, but at that time I was looking for something that was affordable. I knew I wanted to restore something. So I was looking for something that had some historical details that, you know, had some updates, but something that was manageable that I could, kind of manage from afar because I was still in New York at that time. And I came across this house and mostly was attracted by the price point and the fact that it still had some historical details. And so, um, I'd purchased real estate before. So, I called the realtor and I said, well, I'll make an offer and, you know, we'll see what happens. And then, I also know, like, if we go through inspections and things don't, work out, I could always get out of it. But that's what happened. So I made an offer sight unseen at the time, except for
Wow.
so not in person. So yeah.
Wow. What condition was the house in when you bought it? That was in 2015.
That was in 26, so summer of 2016.
Okay.
And so yeah, so the windows were boarded up. We didn't know what was behind those windows. Um, it had vinyl siding. What you see on the front of the house is actually reclaimed wood, hardy on the side, but reclaimed wood on the front. Those were luckily behind everything that was boarded up was the original windows to the house. So those are cypress panes on the glass as well. The transoms were also in pretty good shape. So, redid the doors and added some new paint as well. So, kind of what happens a lot of times is that, people either destroy historic details or they cover them up. And for this house, at least for the exterior, they were covered up. A lot of things that were inside the house were destroyed over the years, but luckily for the exterior, those things were covered up.
So the house was vacant, had been vacant when you bought it?
Yeah, so the house was vacant. The owner, I think, was renting it out and then stopped. He wasn't taking care of it. So I think, the renters like abandoned ship, and then he decided to sell it.
Wow. So when you, from the outside, what you did here was obviously uncover everything. You said replace the siding on the side with hardy. The actual wood siding on the front, was that original or did you have to
No,
redo it
that
all?
was sourced. So that was not there. So yeah, so we sourced wood, reclaimed wood for the front and had that treated and tried to get the width of the boards that we thought the house would have had at that time. I wasn't able to find any old pictures of the house before the siding went up, but just in terms of what other houses that were double shotguns in the neighborhood that did have their original front siding, that seemed to be the style of wood and length and width of the wood for the front.
And the house dates to about the 1920s or 30s, you estimated?
As that's what we found for tax records. It's very possible that it predates to the 1920s or 30s, but some of the earliest tax records are from we found one, I think, late 20s, and then another one from the 30s.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating to think of all the lives that have come through this building in that time, and you're saving it for the future lives that could come through here generations later. So, well, let's go inside. Danielle, would you take us inside? So this is a 3D tour to people who haven't tuned in with us yet during the series. It's a pretty cool thing created by iModo. All these little buttons that you're seeing on the screen actually are links that have more details that we can click on as we go through, and they'll pop up information about individual pieces. So it's fun. And like I said, this is part of our digital design guide that you'll get if you donate, and you can click on all these. We won't click on them all today, but you can spend a lot of fun time clicking away through it. So starting here, KV, tell us a little bit about the condition. So was this a double parlor when you first bought the house?
So there's a room before this one, and so that was blocked off. There was, drywall there and a small door frame. So I don't know if I would call it a double parlor, but it was a double something. And so we created sort of, this front room when you come in, that can kind of serve as a place to sort of set your things down when we have guests. But then also we found, especially sort of pre-COVID times when we entertained a lot more, is that also towards the end of the night people kind of gravitate to this room as well, especially if someone's around that plays the piano, and kind of just have conversation. And we have that chair there as well, which is great for afternoon reading. And then the painting over the piano is from a Nigerian artist, Owele Ofimi, and he's based out of Lagos. And so when I saw some of his work, I definitely knew I wanted it for this room.
It's stunning, that piece. I mean, it really is such a statement piece over the piano. Like her eyes, she has so much expression in those eyes. Well, so in this room, these are plaster walls, not drywall. You want to talk a little bit about your decision-making about, these were original plaster, is that correct?
Yeah, so these were, at one point, they were original plasters. When I got the place, there was drywall. So what we did was, took the drywall down, treated that. And so what you see on the left is untinted plaster. We put that a little bit over the fireplace. When you see the other fireplaces, you'll see that there is the original plaster sort of there crumbling. And, you can never sort of create that effect, but tried to do that a little bit with this and leave some of that exposed. This particular fireplace was crumbling and had it repointed. And then we put some plaster over it as well to sort of mimic the other ones. And then on the right side is a sort of pre-made plaster product that comes pre-tinted, so you could get it in different colors. So it's a little easier to work with. And also, you don't have to be a plaster expert to apply it. And so for that wall, that's what we put on the right side there.
And then the coloration of each. So that one was pre-tinted that color. The one on the left is just part of the natural plaster. Is that color? You tinted it that color?
No, so that's just part of the natural plaster. So we did not do any tinting to it. And so you see kind of the dark and the light kind of on both walls. And that's just sort of natural coloration from moisture and just from environment. You'll see that a lot of times with plaster, especially like untreated plaster, you'll get that variation, which I actually quite like a lot. So there is a way that you can treat the plaster to not have that variation, but I decided not to do that. I actually kind of like the sort of light and dark colors of it.
Another homeowner that I wrote about a few years ago had also done this and left the plaster unpainted in her home as well. And she said she just loved the fact that you could tell that it was hand done. Like, you see the motion to it, and it has a real humanity to it versus just being like this very uniform surface, which I thought was really a beautiful observation about that.
And so we started doing at KEX, I love plaster so much. And so in most of our projects, especially this year, we're, have talked a lot of our clients into doing plaster work, which makes me very, very happy.
Also, just living with it, it has a cool touch. Like when you physically touch it, right? It's cooler temperature-wise than the rooms.
Yes, yeah, it is definitely cool to the touch. I don't know if it cools the room down in New Orleans, but it definitely feels cool.
That would be a tall order. I don't think the plaster alone could do that. But
Yeah.
it definitely has a temperature, whereas if you touch drywall, it really doesn't, at least not in my experience. For people tuning in, we do, like I mentioned earlier, have a whole class on plaster that my colleague Anna Pernis is going to be presenting on Tuesday. So if you're really interested in learning more about the ins and outs of plaster, please turn into that. That's a free
I
program.
may join into that too. That sounds fun.
Yeah, please do. Although I think you might be able to help, lead that class, it sounds like. Tell us a little, before we leave this room, this artwork is just stunning. I'm really intrigued by the piece over the mantle and the two pieces that we're seeing on the right. Can you tell us a little bit about these pieces?
Yeah, so over the mantle, that piece was actually given to me by when I lived in Brooklyn. There was an antique dealer who dealt in, old doors and windows and everything. And I became really good friends with him. And I was just there one day and he gave me a painting. And that was the painting he gave me. So that, I don't know who the artist is, but I loved it so much that I brought it to New Orleans. And then the ones on the right, that first one there that we're circling, that was also gifted to me by another designer, my friend DeBito, who's he's a designer's designer. So whenever he gifts me something, I have to display it. So that was also a gift. And then the one on the right, I got from the consignment shop on Magazine Street, whose name escapes me right now, but it's very well known. It's right off of the highway on Magazine, and they have great stuff, and that's a really good local resource to get antique art.
So Danielle, if I can ask you to just shift a little bit so we can see this cased opening, because it's really beautiful. Tell us a little bit about what you did here and what it was originally in your thought and design of this piece.
Yeah, so originally this was drywall with a regular, I think, 32 by 80 opening, so standard case opening there. And so what I wanted to do is, one, I think with shotguns, the rooms sort of feel very enclosed. And, on there's another side of this, which is a rental. And so I kept that sort of original configuration. But for here, I really wanted to open the space. And so, doing a really wide opening. And so once that was done, we found wood under the house and had the idea to encase the opening with wood. So what you see, and there's wood on both sides too. So reclaimed wood. So what you see sort of on the facing front is reclaimed wood, and what's actually in the case opening is reclaimed barge board.
I mean, it's a beautiful delineation of the rooms without enclosing the rooms. It's kind of a brilliant solution for people who still want to feel like you're, oftentimes with shotgun renovations, people open up the walls to give more living area because these spaces can be small. But then you're in these like gymnasium size feeling rooms. This still makes it feel like you have rooms without being enclosed. It's really a lovely way to do that. Your use of wood, you're keeping natural finishes on your mantles and here. Talk a little bit about your idea about your use of wood here.
Yeah, I mean, I love using natural wood. I mean, as long as it's treated. You'll also see what all the baseboards are also natural wood. So didn't use any, standard Home Depot baseboards. So all of these baseboards are natural wood. Some of them are reclaimed and treated. Some of them are new. In this part of the house, these are actually reclaimed baseboards. So for this house, I felt it was really important. I mean, because it didn't have a lot of original details to it, but it felt inside still, to me at least, historical. So I, wanted to bring in pieces that may have worked when the house was originally built. So, using as much wood as possible because that's what was in abundance at the time. So having the fireplaces are sort of reclaimed fireplace mantles that are wood. as well. And so, you know, with a lot of projects, especially, you know, for KEX, we do a lot of modern projects. And if the house doesn't call for wood, we don't use it, especially this much wood. But I really felt that this house really called for using as much reclaimed wood as possible.
So when you got the house, it had been already somewhat stripped of any original architectural details, like the mantles are reclaimed. Is that correct?
Yeah, the mantles are reclaimed. So it didn't have, I mean, the fireplaces were probably in the exterior, the only original details to the house. So everything you see is new.
And the floors, what about the floors?
Yeah, so the floors on the rental side, we're actually able to save the floors. So that side has the original floors to the house. So we were able to save those, and that was still there. On these floors, there was some vinyl. When we tore it up, the floors were in such bad shape that they couldn't be saved. So these are new growth pine. So they're sustainable, smartly grown pine wide plank floors.
Well, so I should back up for everyone who's watching and say that the house is about 2,800 square feet and it's a double camelback. You kept one side as rental and you used historic rehabilitation tax credits to do some of the renovation. Is that correct?
Yeah, some of the renovations I did get a tax credit to help for that. So that was one of, I'll kind of step back, another thing that helped with bringing in the plaster. Once we tore down that drywall, there was actually brick there as well.
Oh.
And so I thought about keeping the brick exposed, but because of the tax credit, that was not allowed. So
Right.
because you wouldn't have that originally in the house. And so the option was either to, put drywall back on it or do something that would have been there originally, which was the plaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a wonderful option for people who are renovating a double like this and do plan to keep some of it as rental to be able to use the tax credits. It's a huge help when you're doing a big renovation like this.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork and
it's a
lot of paperwork, but it's definitely worth it in the end.
And it sort of makes you, not that you wouldn't anyway, but it makes you put it back in a way that is historically appropriate, which is a lovely thing to do. And really, brings the house back.
Yes.
So before we leave these rooms, I would love to just ask you about this photograph right here that we're looking at. I love this photograph. I want her shoes. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is a performance artist based in New York, Ayana Evans, who's actually a friend of mine. And she does these, her performance art is really about exploring reactions to Black women and Black women bodies in these public spaces. And this is a photograph that was taken by her by another artist that's also that's based in DC. So she's part of, one of her performances was called Operation Catsuit, and this is her in the catsuit. So it's a really fun painting. Fun photograph for the front room that everyone loves. I mean, she's in a neon catsuit with pink shoes, so you can't help but notice it.
And it just feels so very New Orleans, right?
Yes.
Like it feels like it should have been photographed here.
Yes.
All right, let's move to the next room. We could keep talking in this room forever, but I want to make sure we can see the rest of the house. I love your use of color. That blue wall is beautiful. What is that color on that blue wall?
That is Anchors Away, and used a lot in the house. The cabinets are also that color. And yeah, it's a great blue. I mean, especially with the yellow theater chairs there, it really sort of makes that area pop. And I thought about recently about painting it. I was actually going to put plaster over that wall at one point, and I got the opinion of a few design friends, and they were like, "No, you got to keep it that color." So for now, it stays.
That Anchors Away is such a gorgeous color. I've seen it on a couple of cabinets that people have done in your house, but in other houses too. And I just think it's such a rich blue. If you're looking for a good navy, that's a good navy. And then in the light, it changes. Like this, it looks a little brighter than navy, but in some lights, it looks like a darker navy. And I just think it's a really lovely color.
Yeah, in the kitchen, it definitely looks darker. A lot of people can't tell it's the same paint that we have in the
right.
that's on the kitchen cabinet.
So maybe before we move on in this room, let's talk about that piece of art on above the sofa. It's beautiful too.
Yeah, so this work is by a New York-based artist, Khalif Thompson. So it was commissioned, and so when I talked to Khalif about getting a very nice statement piece for this room, we sort of talked about things that were important, and we talked about New Orleans and W.B. Du Bois, which I also have some of his data graphics in the house, and so we sort of explored those concepts. And so this is what he came up with, which is, a New Orleans inspired piece. And he works in these beautiful collages and different textures and things like that. So he's amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. The sofa is it something you designed, or where did you find the sofa?
No, this is an off the rack sofa from Anthropology that I got. Now it's about four years old. So at some point I will be selling it. So
I actually have that same pillow on my sofa, believe it or not, that striped pillow. When I saw it, I was like, ooh, love it. So this space is really your den. How do you use this space? I see you have a desk in the other side of it. Is this a workspace or just a sort of socializing space for you in the house?
You mean where the sofa is, or?
Yes, I know we're turning around.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is like our living space.
Hangout space.
Yeah, our hangout space. There's a TV there over the credenza, so it's where we watch television and relax, or if we have friends over. So this is really kind of our living room, and it's not showing, but our dog also sleeps in this room, so her dog bed is usually on the other side there. But yeah, so this is definitely like our family room.
If for those who are tuning in, if you have the latest copy of Preservation and Print magazine, Lady Bird, their dog, is our cover model. She's adorable. She's absolutely adorable on it. So these chairs that are against the blue wall, are they old stadium seats? Where did you find those?
Yeah, so those are theater seats that came from a segregated theater. So I found those on eBay, and then got the full backstory from the antiques dealer. So those were, when I saw them and sort of learned the history of them, and then saw some old pictures of the actual theater that he was able to share, that these seats were in. Yeah, I knew those were ones that I definitely wanted to have for this space.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit about the artwork above it?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to have this area really sort of be an expression of Black history in New Orleans and in the South, and also with my family. So you'll see on the bottom right is General Howard, who's a Civil War general who started Howard University, which is where I went to school. There's a picture above him of A.P. Thoreau, and then Senator Sumner, who was an abolitionist in the U.S. Senate, and also got in a very famous fight on the Senate floor that I think left him crippled. So there's all these interesting backstories here. And then next to that in the middle is you can't really see it in this view, but a recently emancipated family in Louisiana. And then you see the I Am a Man poster, which became popularized in the 1960s labor and civil rights movement. And then above that is a Civil War Union soldier with his family. And then next to that on the right is a all Black regiment from the Civil War Union soldiers as well. So yeah, so this, I just wanted to, definitely, we've had this controversy around monuments, which is always a little interesting that, there's so much to celebrate that was not celebrated in the South that reflects, things that Black people have gone through. So I really, wanted to have that expression here.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And it's interesting because you're not originally from the South. I mean, you were born in Miami, but you said you moved to Seattle when you were 2 years old. So it's a different history than what you probably grew up with.
Somewhat. My mom is originally from Georgia. I mean, I think
okay.
It's hard to
have family history here.
Yeah, it's hard to be a Black American and not have a connection to the South in
Absolutely.
some way. So, although I never spent a lot of time in the South, like our cuisine growing up was definitely Southern. So and a lot of extended family was from here. So like most Black Americans, have a direct connection to the South, even if we didn't necessarily, grow up here.
All right. Well, let's move to a little bit further along in the house. Danielle's going to spin us around. I'm very glad she's doing the driving because it's much better. Thank you, Danielle. So we're going to go down the hall. So when you bought the house, did you create the space for the bathroom, or tell us a little bit about the floor plan and if the changes that you made, if any, to it?
Yeah, so I kept the floor plan that I bought the house, except for opening up some spaces. At the time, for some reason, I did these renovations and New York before, and moving plumbing is always a pain. And no one told me with a raised house, it's actually a lot easier. So I was under assumption like I would have to go through this big production to change the plumbing. So I ended up keeping the original configuration. Had I known, it's definitely easier, not easy, but easier to do making plumbing changes on a raised house. I would have changed it, but in the end, it did save money and cost and time in terms of just keeping this original configuration.
And so this is a guest bath. So the house now is 3-bedroom, 2 baths on the owner's side. Is that right?
It's 2 bedrooms, 2 baths on the owner's side.
And on the bedroom side.
On the rental side, it has the original shotgun configuration. So it's a series of rooms. So you can call it, a 2-bedroom, a 1-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. It's just
right.
lots of
shotgun bedrooms.
Yeah, lots of rooms.
I love that sink. Before we leave that room, tell us a little bit about that sink. In fact, I was really looking at that sink for a renovation that I'm doing I have a raised house and in a downstairs area. And I was really eyeing that sink. Tell us about that sink.
Yeah, I love the sink. I've actually used it on a couple other renovation projects for clients or two. I first saw this sink on a UK site like years ago, and I was like, oh man, I have to figure out how to get this sink from the UK. But luckily, around that time, Rejuvenation started carrying the same sink. So it's kind of a reproduction bucket sink. It's actually pretty reasonably priced as well, and it's great for a half bath or a guest bathroom. And I really felt like the style fit in with the house as well.
It really does, and I believe it's metal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is metal. And then the trim that you see around it is a very hard, like plastic rubber trim that goes over it.
Yeah, that's really cool. What is the piece next to the left of the light switches? What is that?
That's actually where we hang our hand tiles. So it's like an old.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I found it. I think I want to say I got it at the bank or something. So I'm not sure what it was originally, but yeah. So we use it as a towel hanger. So normally we would have our hand
really
towel
cool.
there. Yeah.
I thought it was some sort of key or something. It looks like an addition and a key, like some vintage key. Very cool. Are these pocket doors to that bathroom?
Those are barn doors. So
Barn
it's
door.
the
Oh, okay, there it is. I see it. I
yeah,
didn't see
so
it.
all the doors in the house are reclaimed except for our back door. So all of these doors are old doors, and yeah, so it's in a door that reclaimed door that I bought, and then we just put it on
Hung
some
it like that.
yeah,
That's a
barn.
smart solution because space is so tight in a lot of these places. Like if you were to swing a door, you would be really blocking some of that hallway or
Yeah,
blocking into
exactly.
it.
Yeah, so it
So,
was yeah, that's something that I didn't want to do because you don't want to swing into the bathroom because the sink is right there. There's not a lot of room,
right.
and so a barn door. You could also do a pocket door, which is a little bit more involved, but a barn door is like a really easy, simple, cost-effective solution for something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Smart way to do that. So then now let's move a little bit back into the kitchen and dining area. So I love this bar setup here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So the bar, I always knew like when I moved to New Orleans, I wanted a bar, and I thought about like making a hidden bar, and then not, couldn't really figure out the configuration to make that work. And so, yeah, so this bar was created, the wood on, like I said, all the wood in the house, except for the flooring and some of the baseboard is all reclaimed and old. So this countertop was handmade. As well from reclaimed wood. The shelf is also reclaimed wood. The stools got from online from a restaurant restaurant supply store, and then just spray painted the legs gold. And then you'll see in the little sort of billboard thing there, sort of honoring New Orleans music, you see Louis, Mahalia, Frida, and Wayne, kind of, favorite New Orleans musicians.
It's
So
terrific. I
yeah,
love putting them all. I love putting Little Wayne with Mahalia Jackson. I just think it's terrific.
yeah. So
Um,
it's a fun place. And now that we're beginning to entertain again, we'll start making good use of it. But it's always, no, everybody loves a bar, so it's great.
the bottom of the bar is reclaimed wood. Was it painted or did you keep the different slats with their
Um,
patina? I mean, it's a
yeah,
cool
so those
design.
were stained. So those were also reclaimed and then stained different colors. And actually, funny enough, I had some left over from doing all the staining that I used it upstairs and the bathroom for the ceiling. So
Cool. Cool. All right, so let's spin around and see the kitchen.
yeah, so eat and dine in kitchen here.
I love the brick floors. Tell us about the brick floors.
Yeah, so before I started renovating, I had visited the Whitney Plantation,
Mhm.
which I recommend to
Powerful.
everyone to go. And part of learning on that plantation tour, so it's one of the only plantations that the story and the tours are told through the lives of the enslaved.
Mhm.
And, found out that in that kitchen, they also had brick floors. And one of the reasons why they had brick floors is to stop fire because they were, cooking on open flames. And so that was, originally then became the idea to have, use brick floors here as well. But that was inspired by a tour at the Whitney.
Yeah, the Whitney Plantation. I highly recommend it too. So do you have the floors, the bricks coated in anything? Or are they just mortared in place
Yeah,
or
they're just mortared in place. There is a light ceiling just to stop the dust,
Mhm.
and stop some staining. I mean, they're pretty hardy. They stay fairly clean. We try to sweep them or vacuum them, and then put some water to them maybe like once a month.
Oh,
Just to
really?
sort of wipe them down, but
You
not
don't use
too
any
much.
kind of
No, so no
cleaning
cleaner. Yeah,
material.
no cleaner or anything like that. So it's just, sweeping, and then sometimes like a wet mop just to like try to collect any dust that hasn't been picked up by by the vacuum or broom.
I mean, they're great as far as they don't show any like dirt really, because I mean they are so textured that you probably just don't see a lot. And I have dogs, so my dog's hair I have to sweep daily practically, and so I imagine there it would be less noticeable. I don't know if your dog sheds. My dog's
She does.
shed.
She's a short hair. She sheds for pretty much for a short haired dog, but
Yeah. It's a beautiful look. And are they full bricks or are they half bricks when you do?
they're full bricks. So they're
They're
yeah.
vintage bricks?
Yeah, their age, these bricks actually, I got them from a brickyard and they are historic bricks that came from Baltimore. So,
Oh, cool.
whatever that means, but that's the history of the bricks. But yeah, they are full.
And so then tell us about so the kitchen wasn't here when you bought the house. You put the kitchen here?
No, so the kitchen was also here. So this is
Oh, it was. Okay.
yeah, the configuration that I found when I bought the house. So kept that configuration, just moved a few things around. But yeah, so it's the same configuration.
And then the countertops are wood.
Yeah,
talk a little bit about them.
Reclaimed wood that sanded, sealed, treated. The sink, a reclaimed sink that I think I got the sink from the bank, and then a reproduction faucet there.
Yeah, the sink is terrific. And I love the way you countersunk it there. It's great. And no upper cabinets. So you have to be very tidy.
Yeah, no upper cabinets, which, a lot of my clients are forgoing upper cabinets now. So I've never had upper cabinets in any of the homes that I've renovated for, my personal use. So I prefer not having them. But I think it's catching on, the no upper cabinets.
Yeah. And there's no pantry, or is that door to the left the pantry?
The door to the left is to the pantry. So those are the stairs that go up to the camelback, and then underneath is our opening, and we've
storage there.
Yeah, so we store all of our pantry items
there. Yeah. Oh, I see. Cool. Okay. And that, it's lucky with a camelback, you didn't have the room after room going through a bedroom configuration, so you really can keep the original layout. So, and the camelback was original well, if not original, it was there when you bought it. You didn't add it.
Yeah, so that configuration, they actually were able to carve out 3 small bedrooms in here, and we just ended up making 2 larger bedrooms out of it.
Yeah. And so the tenant side, does it have any of the camelback?
No, so the camelback is only on our side, on the owner's
side.
So,
yeah. So tell us a little bit about your designs up here. Again, you keep the vibrant use of color.
Yeah, vibrant use of color, still a lot of wood. Honestly, I feel like every designer has their strong point, and my strong point is definitely not bedrooms. So I've always kind of struggled with bedrooms. So in this space,
these are gorgeous. So
yeah. So the idea, bedrooms have always sort of been an afterthought, but I'm getting better at it. So I actually wanted to, use a lot of color. This print here came from Louisiana Museum in Denmark. And I thought it was like super colorful and unique. So
wait, there's a Louisiana Museum in Denmark?
Yes, there is a Louisiana. It's not named after a state, but yes, it is. It is called the Louisiana Museum.
But it's not in reference to Louisiana.
It's not in reference to Louisiana.
That's amazing. Where is it in Denmark?
I want to say it's outside of Copenhagen. And so I actually had I found this on their website, and I wanted to order it, and you couldn't order it online. So I had to email them, and they thought it was really funny that I was in Louisiana and I was ordering this. So we all got a really funny chuckle out of it.
Yeah. Now I want to go to to that museum.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
great, I hear it's a great museum. I actually never been, but I hear it's amazing.
really cool. Can we peek inside the room? Does the 3D
Yes.
tour take us inside?
Yes.
Let's see. There it goes. Tell us about this headboard.
Yeah. So again, my friend, designer friend Debito, he does a lot of DIY things. I'm not necessarily a DIY person, and he started making these, wide headboards, like the length of the room, and we hadn't had headboard for our bed, and so I was like, okay, well, he made it look really easy, so I will also do the same. So this was kind of a weekend DIY project of, getting the fabric, and we got the boards from Home Depot and had them cut the length of the width of the room, and yeah, it turned out fun. So it's there's like these different colored, I think they're like bananas or feathers. I don't know what they are, but they seem really really fun. So
They're really cool. And I love the way it cuts the wall. It like delineates the wall, even though it's like a headboard, but it's also almost as if the wall is just two pieces, like color and then pattern. It's a very cool approach. Well, I worry that we're getting close to time, so I wonder if we should sneak back down, unless there's much more up here. I know we could go through every single room and look at all the art, because I do want to show. Oh, we got to show the bathroom. The bathroom is spectacular. I love the way you juxtapose a very contemporary doorless showers, wet space with the natural patina of the door to the right. You want to talk a little bit about what you did here?
yeah, so I try not to use shower doors
Mhm.
if possible, for sort of open showers without a tub, and that's just something that I found, like, spending time in South America and the Caribbean, that they just weren't used, and water didn't go all over the place if you have the pitch right. And so I wanted to definitely incorporate that with this room. So the floors are cement, that have been sealed, and yeah, so again, using, a lot of people are afraid to use wood and wet spaces, but not me. And those are all, they've all been sealed. The ceiling is that reclaimed wood that has been sealed and is weatherproof. So
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Um, it just feels so textured there. Like, the wood has texture, the tile with the um, diagonal lines through it. It just is it's such a visually intriguing space. The sink to the left, what is that sink?
that's a marble sink, and then it's sitting on a reclaimed base, wood base. Yeah.
Is this the only bathroom upstairs, or is there another
Yeah.
bathroom
No.
upstairs?
Yeah. This is the only bathroom upstairs.
This is the master.
Yeah.
Um, it's very cool space. Okay, I know we're getting close to time, so I don't want to. There we go. I just wanted to sneak us outside because your outside is so fun. Talk a little bit about what you did in the backyard.
Yeah, so the backyard was also sort of inspired by traveling, sort of being in Mexico and in Marfa, Texas. So I wanted to use these very like colorful, vibrant colors. So I think the pink is actually called like Mexican pink, uh, as well. So did pink backdrop, beautiful local artist, Taylor, did the mural, which is kind of a nod to Burroughs, which is one of the oldest Black-owned restaurants in New Orleans. So, showing their original menu, which I think was just 3 items, which was, catfish, red beans, and oysters, I think were their original menu. And so sort of showcasing that. And then, a lot of tropical plants, which now that it's summertime, they do not, like full on summer, they do not look as beautiful as they did in the spring. So
I mean, the colors are so vibrant and fun. Like, you just want to have a party in this backyard. It just looks like a place that you would love to have a crawfish boil or a barbecue or something.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, You know, does the backyard stretch across the whole length of the house, or is it divided to the tenant and the owner's sides?
No, it's divided. It's across the whole length of the house.
Mhm. It's a good space. The hammock is from your travels in South America.
No, the hammock I think picked up on Etsy, the hammock.
Mhm.
And then Patrick, my partner, he did the two wood poles for the hammock, so installed those. So a lot of stuff we did ourselves, and then we had some help too.
Awesome. We only have a few minutes left, so I will invite anyone who has questions to post them in the chat or the Q&A right now. We've had a lot of lovely, not specific questions, but a lot of shout outs. And we're on our Facebook Live too. People are remarking about how beautiful the colors are and how beautiful the artwork is throughout the house, which I will absolutely echo that. And I will tell people who I see there's some questions about previous shotgun house tour videos that you can see all of them in this one as well on our YouTube channel, on our PRC YouTube channel, and it'll be archived there. Before we let you go, tell us a little bit about some of the design projects that you're working on, both in the city here and outside of New Orleans, if you would.
Yeah, so most of our work in New Orleans is still, historic renovations or historic homes, but we also sort of do with them with a modern twist. So right now we have a full renovation in Bayou St. John, an accessory structure in the Lower Garden District, and then a full renovation in the Irish Channel. Also doing some interior design projects in the city. We have a really big interior design project in London going on right now. And then in New York, we're doing, those are less historical projects. So doing some large kitchen renovations and full gut renovations, the architectural design and the interior. So a lot going on, which is good. So we're busy, but always welcome new clients too. So
a lot going on, and also a lot of very different architectural styles. I imagine what you're doing here in New Orleans and our historic architecture is probably very different than the historic architecture in New York and London, with different quirks and characteristics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important as a designer that, we kind of let the house sort of speak in terms of, what design style fits best for it.
Mm-hmm. We have a question, and also Alexa said, I just want to say that I love your house. Your style is so original, so refreshing, and you're so talented and creative. And I would absolutely say ditto to that. She also asks, what is the credenza in the second parlor? Second room, I guess we should. The front.
So yeah, the credenza is from a local company. I want to say their area. They used to be called something else, but I think they recently changed their name to like Area 52. They're in Jefferson. They used to be in Mid-City, right next to the post office. So if anybody remembers the name of that place, but they've changed their name since they moved to Jefferson. But that's where the credenza came from.
Cool. We have a question about how you hang your artwork on the plaster walls.
Professionally. So
good response. That is hard.
Yes, I don't do them myself. On the non-plaster walls, I'll just stick a nail in there and hang it. But on the plaster walls, luckily, I've met someone who does that hangs artwork professionally for museums, but also sort of moonlights on the side and does professional hanging for residential projects. So I had him hang most of the artwork.
We do have a question, since you do work all over the world and you've lived in many different places, what is your favorite architectural style to work with? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, outside of New Orleans, I love architecture from Amsterdam, which I also lived in, that, also sort of utilizes, high ceilings and history. I love French architecture. I just, love anything that has a history behind it. So, sort of, what we're seeing sort of popping up in New Orleans that is, modern, not really giving a nod to the city. Those are probably the things I like the least. But any architecture that honors, history and with a twist for modern living is what I love.
My sister lived in the Netherlands for a while in The Hague, right outside of The Hague, and I fell in love with the Dutch architecture too. They live in tall, skinny houses. I really think of them as sort of like shotguns, but instead of long and linear, they're like stacked on top of each other. They're all these like tiny, tall houses, but they're really skinny too. It's fascinating. I will ask you, and I know we're really running out of time, but I wanted to ask you about storage, especially up here. I'm noticing there's no closets in your master, or if they are, I didn't see them. Or is this door to a closet?
No, that door is to the other bedroom. So this is a Jack and Jill bath. So they're the guest bedroom shares this bathroom. We do have a small closet in both the rooms. That is definitely something that is a struggle with shotguns, or just not even shotguns, just old houses in general with lack of storage. So we've tried to be creative. I have a clothing rack and the guest bedroom. At some point we'll probably build out more storage, like take some square footage from the rooms. But that's definitely, if anyone's ever lived in an old house, knows that lack of storage is definitely a challenge. Yes.
100% the biggest challenge I think we have in a lot of these old houses.
Yeah.
And it
People
didn't
have as much stuff. Yeah.
They didn't. They really didn't. They had like 3 dresses, back in the day. You had your good dress, your daily dress, you probably had your church dress, and we don't live quite like that. Maybe we should. Well, I can't thank you enough. I just adore your house. I think your design sensibility is so fresh and modern, and yet respectful of the characteristics of these old places. And so thank you so much for sharing them with us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Well, and thank you for everyone who joined in, and check out our whole schedule. We have one more Shotgun House Month program, and it's tomorrow with Julie Neal. Be sure to tune in. Her house is absolutely stunning too, and it's totally different than this one. It's all white, like the interior. So we went from very vibrant color to a very sort of dreamy, almost like dreamscapey white space. So it'll be a fun contrast. And thank you, KV. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
And y'all enjoy your Saturday.
Yeah.
Bye.